Okay, so hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I just said that in the right order. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm sorry ahead of time that I'm talking low. I don't want to talk too loud because I'm right next to a family bedroom outside. I just want to say welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm new here, so we're both new. I started this channel just to talk about life, themes, my ethereal epiphanies, thoughts, psychology, etc., my take on life, my point of view on things. And today in this video, what I want to talk about is how I really got into forest bathing and Dirga Pranayama. By the way, I have a speech impediment almost in my 30s, but literally until the age of 19, 20, I had a really bad speech impediment. And it kind of lingered for a little bit until the age of 21. But so sometimes especially if I'm tired, I have a hard time speaking. And I'm telling you, it's a miracle that I'm even talking this fluid right now. It really, really is because I'm telling you, when I was 19, still stuttering pretty badly. So yeah, anyway. So this video is about like how I got into actually the pronunciation is Shinrin-yoku. I practiced that so many times because I kept saying Shirin-yoku. And I'm sorry, I watch YouTube videos of like how to pronounce it correctly, and it's Shinrin-yoku. Shinrin-yoku. So I still hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, but that's forest bathing. So forest bathing is, you know, I'm sure like you might have seen videos of like people hugging trees and stuff like that. I know some people in certain cultures might be like, oh, that's so like woo-woo. And when I say woo-woo, then you know what I mean. Oh, that's ridiculous. Or that's crazy. And there's actually, it's science backed, actually. That's one thing. So, two, in this video, I want to talk about like how I really got into it. Is like before, I would just do it because I thought it was like not cool, but I thought like it would just feel good because I'm neurodivergent and I have like sensory issues. So I'm trying to go on for too long. And I have sensory issues, and for a really long time, I didn't like physical touch from other humans, barely. And slowly have gone up and down about that. So yeah, I would like occasionally, if I would go on a solo trip to a forest, I would, hug the tree for a little bit. And I didn't really understand the science behind it. I didn't really understand I just kind of jumped into it. I just thought, oh, you just hug a tree and you'll feel better. No. So I just want to share my experience probably in the past 4 to 6 months. No, I'll say 4 months of me doing Shinrin-yoku. Well, I'll just say forest bathing. That's easier. Well, why am I can use both, right? I'm not doing a Japanese language learning video. I'll just say forest bathing. So yeah. So I just want to get into I've been doing forest bathing and Dirga Pranayama, which is a breathing technique. So for those of you who are religious, who are Christians, I know are like very leery about like breath work things and meditation, especially from like East Asia, because I know that many people are nervous or scared of. Sorry, I'm distracted by a squirrel. I like to watch the animal. I just sit out here and just sorry, just very quickly. And by the way, this is my neurodivergent brain. So just quick side note. I come out here a lot and I watch the animals. Like behind me, there's a shed where a groundhog stores nuts. And almost every day I watch two two chipmunks like steal. I can look that way, sorry. I watched two chipmunks steal the groundhog's nuts. I started just giving the chipmunk his own nuts, and he just keeps stealing the groundhog. And then sometimes the squirrels get frustrated because they do all the work to get the nuts on the floor, and then the chipmunk steals it. It's really hilarious. But yes, so sorry, I got a little bit distracted. So yeah. Anyway, back to forest bathing and Durga Pranayama. If I haven't said that already, that's, breath work. So I know many people, especially Christians, are like, I don't want to be praying to another God or meditating to another God. Nothing like that at all. Both of these things don't really have a spiritual aspect to it. So you don't have to worry about you saying anything that, might make you feel uncomfortable if that is your faith. And if I'm wrong about this, please someone correct me. Another thing, if I ever say anything wrong in a video, I'm not the kind of person who's I'm gonna delete your comments and, you know, don't correct me. Never. I love to be corrected. I mean, as long as it's done politely, I'm totally fine with being corrected or receiving constructive criticism. So anyway, just to get into it. So the reason why I got into this and took it seriously, both of these things, is because I've had a pretty horrific past few years. I had a pretty horrific past year and a half and pretty horrific just this year alone. And I wanted to take control, like my anxiety was getting way out of control. It was so bad that last year I had a full autistic meltdown about that. I know that sounds like, girl, are you serious? Yes, I'm dead serious. Like a complete meltdown. I was freaking out all the time. Honestly, I might talk about these things eventually, but there's a lot. It wasn't like I just had random anxiety. I was experiencing a lot of bullying and stuff like that, and a lot of really bad things, and it was making my anxiety so bad. Like I was like constantly shaking for no reason. I thought I had IBS because I was like not using the bathroom properly. And the thing is, I already have that anxiety, but when I'm being funny thing is that someone who started, I've never been bullied before until I was adult, until I'll get into this into another video. Sorry for like me going all over the place. That's just how I am. But I'll get into this in another time of how I've never been bullied until I was an adult and how that really affected me and how I didn't experience bullying until I was a neurodivergent, immersed in neurotypicals who just were a mix of just uneducated and racist. Bad combination. Uneducated, racist, and unwilling to learn and unwilling to unlearn their racist ideologies and would rather you conform than to them than for them to understand. So I'll talk about that another time, but that really, really contributed to my anxiety where I would go in a room full of people and I would completely freak out. Yeah, like to the point where even though it was hard for me to speak, I would get apraxia. So, just going to therapy and everything has really helped. But when I'm not, I can't just call my therapist on every occasion. So that's when I started doing research, scientific research, and just finding ways to naturally calm myself down without any medication. So I don't want to be on anxiety medication. That's another story. But yeah, so I was like looking at natural ways to, just taking what I learned in therapy, but also doing my own research on what's best for me. So that's how I got into forest bathing. And I watched the documentary on it, and I have a friend that lived in Japan for a while, and they were telling me, I think this is something that you, especially since you've done it before, you just didn't understand like how it works and everything. And maybe we'll do an in-depth video of my learnings about forest bathing, but what I can say, and I keep notes on everything. So if you ever see me looking down, it's because I don't want to say the wrong thing. And it doesn't make sense for me to say the wrong thing, have to go back and edit, say I made a mistake. No, I wrote notes exactly. I don't have a prompter, but forest bathing, increases and boosts your immune system. I mean, people know things like, trees give off oxygen and, you know, but yeah. So again, I'll get into that. I was about to go into that, but I was like, no, it's a general video. I'll get into that separately. But yeah, it also reduces cortisol levels, lower stress. I can definitely say, even if it is woo-woo, it has lowered my stress, hands down. Because I was doing forest bathing before I get into Dirga Pranayama, the breathing technique. And I have to really say, just sitting there and clearing my thoughts and hugging a tree on a consistent basis, really, and it didn't always have to be a true like full on hug, but like sometimes I hugged the tree like full on hug. Sometimes I would just touch the tree and just close my eyes and just breathe. And actually, that is how I got into Dirga Pranayama because I had learned, so I went through lots of traumatic things as a kid, and I went through all types of therapy. And I remember doing breathing exercises and how much that helped me as a kid to be less anxious as a kid after I went through those horrific things. And so I just remember one day I was just like sitting there hugging a tree, just doing my own breath work, unguided, just from what I remember from years ago. And I was like, I wonder if there's like a program that I can do, that I can follow, that I can listen to until I get it down pat. And so I wanted something that was under 5 minutes. I wanted something that was like really quick that you can do because I don't like to set goals that I'm nervous that I might not stick with. So I like to keep them small first and then work my way up. So what I did was um, sorry, I lost my thought because I saw something and it sidetracked me. So yeah, so anyway, so I found a program and it was like a guided program of Dirga Pranayama. You know, it plays music in the background and they tell you kind of release all of your, breath, and then, start on the program. So it's a breathing program, it's a three-part program where first you breathe into your stomach, then your rib cage, and then your upper chest. And another thing, side note, like I notice when I'm stressed, I have bad posture and I have really bad upper back aches. And I have to say, when I was doing these more regularly, because there was a short time where I was told I couldn't go out and do my forest bathing. So now I go to a different location. Um, but yeah, so I noticed it would help my upper back. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't know if I could stretch my upper back doing these breathing exercises. But yeah, so that's the Pranayama. It's a three-part breathe in. And you know what? I wasn't listening to it at first. I thought you were supposed to, because I was used to doing another program from years ago that I learned where you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and you just keep doing that. And I wasn't even listening to the guy really, because like I get sidetracked very easily. And he says only to do the, I think, beginning release to let out all the stale air you do from the mouth. I didn't even realize that he said the whole thing should be done through your nose. Didn't realize that. But anyway, I've noticed that, yeah, it helped with my back. Another thing is that I have asthma. Sorry if I'm talking too fast now. I have asthma and I have not had to use a pump in 4 or 5 months. Now, this week I'm noticing because of the change in the weather, my asthma's messing up, but I literally do not have a pump at all. I'm not suggesting that you get rid of your asthma pump and do Dirga Pranayama. I'm not suggesting that at all. So please, nobody do that and say, "Oh, this girl needs." No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying me. I have not had to use my asthma pump or even had to go get a new one in quite some time since I've been doing the breathing exercises. So I forgot to share some of my points on, sorry, go back. I forgot to share some of my points on it. So yeah. So the same way I gave you some pointers on forest bathing, I want to share also about the Dirga Pranayama. So oh, I had I had that as the first bullet point. So it improves respiratory function. I just said that. It reduces anxiety and stress, also, and it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation. So how I mix these two things, right, is like once a week I have to go somewhere and it's in a room full of people. And I told you I had social anxiety after the pandemic and or maybe I didn't say that, I don't remember, but I did. And I started having really bad anxiety and I don't want to be on anxiety medication, hands down. So what I would do is if I had the time, I would do it twice, once in the morning and then once right before I have to go to this place. So I would do it once here, and then this place I had to go to was in New York City, and I would go to Central Park and do it there as well. The thing is that if you're not afraid of what people are going to think or say, especially, okay, just to be a little bit funny here, if you're black, if you're like, a person of color, honestly, I think honestly, it's not even that. It's probably even just American too. I think hugging a tree is like so like taboo. It's so woo. I use woo because it's just funny, but it's funny to say. But yeah, I think like most people will look at you funny if they see you hugging a tree and breathing into the tree or doing breathing exercise into the tree. But if you can get over that, which I'm a theater kid, so I think that's helped a lot in not caring about what people think. Also, I don't care about what people think anyway, but I think, to kind of like get over anxiety of, oh my gosh, that person's watching me and I feel uncomfortable because I probably think I'm a weirdo. If they do, who cares? You're not hurting anybody. You're literally hugging a tree. So if you have a private place to do that, even better, do it more often. I found that when I did it on a schedule, that it worked out a lot better for me in reducing my stress and anxiety. And naturally, without any stimulants, any medication, I can hands down say it's not woo-woo. It really has helped. I mentioned earlier that I would go into a room and my hands would be like that. Like now, see, my hands are quite steady. My nerves are so bad that if I knew I had to be somewhere at 7, by 3 o'clock, I was like this. Everything was twitching and my nervous system was pretty beat up. So I do think that you just can't do it once or twice and think, oh, it's going to make a difference. Oh, I did this and that's it. I feel better now. I have to do it consistently. I like to do things on a schedule if I can. It doesn't have to be like on the dot. It's not everything. It doesn't have to be like, okay, to do this on 8 o'clock every day. Okay. If you're someone that has a flexible schedule, mm, I would say just maybe say, okay, at some time or point between 8 o'clock and 8:30, I'm gonna go do this. And then just try to stick to that. But don't be so hard on yourself. I must get up at 7:30. I must do all this and be out by 8. No, that's the whole point of doing forest bathing and Dirga Pranayama together, from my point of view, is to reduce stress and to make you feel better and make you feel calmer. And yeah, and just give it a try. I'm gonna always like whenever I say something, like I did research, I'm always gonna link to it below so that you can read up on it yourself. Another thing that I forgot to do is that I could look it up right now while I'm on the camera. So there's a book that I read, but I read this. Let me see. Sorry, just 1 second. The book I read. Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is the book that I read, like after I did my own research and there's some articles and stuff about how to do forest bathing. Another thing, it doesn't have to be an actual forest. It's, I know, for example, in New York City, there are like small gardens around the city. You can go to a garden, it doesn't have to be a forest. Don't be so hooked up on the name, a forest or woods. If you don't have access to a forest, totally fine. I think I said earlier, I do it in Central Park as well. Oh, again, that's technically reserved forest land, but yeah, anyway. Anyway, it doesn't have to be a forest. You can go to a park. It could be a park. I would suggest anywhere that has grass and a tree. I, I personally feel like it feels better. But anyway, so the book that I read eventually is called Forest Bathing: How Trees Can Help You Find Health and Happiness by Dr. Qing Li. Yeah, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Qing Lee. Li. And really funny what I was doing that I actually got the book for free through my New York Public Library and through Libby. So if you haven't heard of this before, I want to link that below as well. Some states in the United States have this where your library lets you borrow books and audiobooks. Maybe I'll do a video on that as well, actually. I'm gonna do a video on that. I am because so many people don't know about the programs available, especially in New York City. I want to be a New York City resident forever. I mean, I eventually want to be a dual resident, but New York City has so much to offer and resources. And many other states have similar, but anyway, so that's what I did. I was actually walking one day and because I had like on my to-do list to read this book and I just turned it on and I had learned so much. It was really funny too because I mentioned at this point I was already doing it. So it's really funny. A lot of things I already felt the differences as far as doing the forest bathing, feeling less anxiety, feeling a lot more connected. All of that was in the book. And actually, oh no, I returned the book. But yeah, maybe as I said earlier, I'll probably just go more into that later, especially more than a Dirga Pranayama. I probably have to do a lot more research on Pranayama to be able to speak about it as well as I can with forest bathing. So anyway, I feel like it's been quite some time and I don't want to, I can go on for like hours. I hope this was helpful to you. The whole point of this video, as I said, was to just talk about doing forest bathing and Dirga Pranayama, which is doing breath work, the three-stage process from breathing in and out of your stomach, your rib cage, and your upper chest. So maybe I'll do separate videos kind of going deeper into both these things in the future. But if you're going through a hard time, if you have high anxiety, don't want to be on medication, you don't want to take anything to, slow down your mind or nerves, definitely think this would be really helpful for you. And if you do try these things, please share it. I want to know, you know, how has it worked for you? If it has not worked for you, why not? How are you perhaps doing it? Did you mix the two like I did? I'm not sure. I don't remember if I mentioned this, but I would do the forest bathing and I would hug the tree. I would, if I could, hug the tree as tight as possible while I'm doing my breathing exercises. Oh, I totally forgot to say, if you're not the person who's grossed out by like ants and stuff like that being on the tree, just to warn you, that might happen. So if you don't want to hug the tree, as I said earlier, I used to sometimes just go like this. I can choke the tree, but you know, just hold on to the sides and keep your eyes open to make sure there's no ants if that might bother you. But yeah, anyway, as I said, I hope that was helpful. I hope you could give this a try. I hope that if you're going through something bad in life, that you give this a try and it helps you in some small way, that it makes you feel less anxious, that you feel a little bit happier, your mental health feels a little bit happier, I mean, a little bit better. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for listening for this long. Please comment and subscribe. as I said earlier, please just tell me like how things going for you. Have you tried it? And please share. So yeah, have a great day, a great afternoon, and a great evening wherever you are. And see ya. Bye.